presented by Engineer Sri Krishna Balachandran, Project Manager, Project Prithvi, United Nations Development Program, New Delhi. Mr. Sri Krishna has been handling plastic waste management program across 50 cities with the support of various FMCG companies to effectively manage plastic waste and empower waste workers alongside central and state government departments. He is the co-founder and head of I Got Garbage, a digital technology platform to integrate various players in the waste ecosystem. He has a diversified experience in implementing projects in a range of areas like plastic waste management to climate change, natural resources, policy, government, and consulting for the last 10 years. Today, Sir is here to enhance our knowledge about plastic waste recycling and sustainability. Now, I invite Engineer Sri Krishna to take over the session. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to join all of you. I'm trying to switch on my video, but maybe there is a network issue, so it might not be on. So let me start and I will try to switch on my camera as we go. So it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Professor Subramaniam and Professor Balaji Kannan for really inviting us. They've been, I'm so glad to be back to the to TNAU and to share the insights that I've been working on. So I wanted to touch upon today on a topic that I've been working on related to waste management. I will share my screen. Just tell me when it is visible to you.
Yeah, it's visible.
It's visible? Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. So I want to talk about waste management. Waste management has a human angle, waste management has an environment angle, waste management also has an economic angle, and it also has an environmental angle. So I wanted to touch upon these parameters on waste management today and how at UNDP we are able to work together and create a project of partnership with government and private sector. So first, I think wanted to define the problem of waste. So problem of waste, we are saying India annually generates 62 million tons of waste. And out of that, 43 million tons is collected. Only 11.9 million is treated, and 19.1 is littered, and 31.0 million tons is dumped in landfill. And on the other side, there is a human factor to it. There are 1.5 million waste pickers who are involved. And they are having an average lifespan of 39 years, and 22 kinds of diseases and even more are prevalent in this space. So how we will be able to, I mean, this problem is huge, and it is important for us to see how we are able to answer that. So some of the key challenges in waste management that we have seen are broken supply chain, lack of governance at the ground level, and also consumer behavior in terms of whether it is segregation or whether it is effective treatment or whether it's adopting recycled materials. It is very important, and consumer behavior also plays a very critical role. So what we are trying to do is to try and identify projects and activities that are aligned to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And we are able to map 14 of the 17 sustainable development goals when we touch on waste management, which is related to poverty, gender equality, decent work, inequalities, water and sanitation, sustainable cities and consumption, partnerships, affordability, and clean energy. So there are much more, and each of these indicators have a specific aspect and a role to play in this. And secondly, how we are able to link them to government schemes. When you look at solid waste management, of course, we work very closely with the Swachh Bharat Mission, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Also on the livelihood aspect with the National Urban Livelihood Mission, Skill India, Sector Skill Council for Green Jobs, and of course, Digital India and Smart City Mission. So it is in a way trying to integrate multiple domains into this aspect of waste management, and specifically wanted to talk today about circular economy and waste management and how we've been working with different brands like Coca-Cola, Unilever, HDFC Bank, and with the support and leadership of the Swachh Bharat Mission and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So what we have done, we're calling it Project Prithvi. In that, what we have done is that we have four pillars of the interventions that we are doing. First pillar is about strengthening existing infrastructure across the value chain and supply chain. Second, establishing stronger ground level operational processes and governance systems across the board, empowering the informal sector and community engagement. So these are the four key pillars which we have been working on since the last 4 years, and we have been able to make progress, good progress on that. So what we also wanted to say a little further is to talk about the socio-technical model on waste management, establishment of material recovery facility, because today we see that cities require infrastructure. So cities require infrastructure for waste management. So how are we able to provide that? So that infrastructure we are providing through creating the material recovery facilities, and that we are calling it Swachhata Kendra, and then institutionalization of that by integrating them into the formal and informal ecosystem, and creating a process of monitoring, tracking, digital governance, and everything else to make sure that we create that ecosystem. So next point is about how we are able to take that. If you specifically talk about plastic waste, we are talking end to end, where we are talking about collection of materials from various sources, whether it is household, whether it's institutions, whether it is industries, shopping malls, marriage halls, religious institutions, houses, colonies, parks. So how, when we collect materials, plastic from these, we'll have a decentralized collection center or a small collection center. And those collection centers, plastic materials get aggregated and sent to this material recovery facility, which is called Swachhata Kendra. And then once we get there, we are able to categorize or sort waste into plastic waste into more than 20 categories. But broadly, those 20 categories come under the 7 broad categories defined globally, which is PET, HDPE, PVC, LDPE, PP, PS, and others. So these are the different types of materials, and each of these materials have a different value. They have a different end use, and they also go to different recycling units, not to the same unit. So, and how do we treat that? Let's say for PET, what we do with PET, after we sort all the PET bottles, we also do sorting based on the colors of the bottles, whether it's transparent color, green color, and medicinal PET. So that also we sort them separately. We do baling and strapping, and then you transport to back-end recyclers who are fiber makers. Then you're talking about HDPE. HDPE can be shredded. These are the hard plastics. They can be shredded or they can be baled, and they are sent to recyclers who convert them into granules or do use it in co-processing. Similarly, for flexible plastics, it can be used in road construction. Some plastics can be used to make composite boards, and other non-recyclable plastics are today sent to cement units, cement kilns for co-processing and co-incineration. So that's also, in a way, that is something that we are doing. So apart from that, working on mainstreaming of waste pickers, which is to make sure that the occupational issues and personal issues which waste pickers are facing, primarily due to informal employment, low remuneration, and unhygienic work environment, financial debt and bondage with the informal ecosystem, health hazard. So these are some of the issues they face. The interventions for that is providing them ID cards, insurance, pensions, bank account, trainings, SHG, and everything else that is direct intervention. And how we are able to have measurable outputs on that aspect, like reduced vulnerability, increased collection, predictable increased income, and overall objective is to provide them with dignified livelihood. So the way we have structured this is, of course, as UNDP, we partner with the city government and with corporates, and we identify local partners in various cities, and we establish the Swachhata Kendra and implement through having the machines and processing and everything, and overall how we are able to create an overall self-sustainable, economically sustainable ecosystem in about 18 to 24 months time. So if you look at some of the waste processing diagram, where different kinds of not just plastic but all kinds of waste come in. If you look at the source, it can be from village panchayat, mixed or segregated, municipal council, bulk generated, and much more. The primary segregation is into soft plastic, hard plastic, cardboard, Tetra Pak, glass, aluminium cans, PET, cereal bags, and metal. And then further, let's say PET is sorted into green PET and white PET, metal into stainless steel and iron, soft plastic into mix and PP, and then hard plastic into Kala Kadak, white Kadak, toothpaste pouch, and then many more such categories that are available. Then some of the machines that we put here is Weybridge, Fatka machine, baling machine, shredding machine, a glue machine, kata machine, so that some processing activities can be done here. So that is basically the objective. These are the images of some of the centers that we are operating. This is the center we are operating in Ahmedabad in partnership with the Ahmedabad Cantonment Board. It is called the Suraksha Swachhata Kendra, where we are working with the Safai Sathis and the NGOs in that area. This is one of the facility in Goa, where we have waste pickers working on a conveyor belt, and we also have on the bottom right categories of various materials that we are sorting. Here we are sorting more than 34 categories of waste materials, which is including plastic, paper, metal, glass, as well as waste. And once collected, they are deposited in such places, after which they are taken to either processing or pre-processing. These are some of the products that are made from non-recyclable plastics. Today, not all plastics can be recycled. So there are non-recyclable plastics like MLP, those flexibles and multi-layer laminates, low value or no value plastic. So these are the ones today that have no available, or what to say, no end use per se or positive value. So those materials, now there are newer technologies to make them into boards, made them into, let's say, pads, made them into benches, dustbins, and many other applications, and also use them in partition walls and other things in construction. So we've been working on it, and we've been experimenting a lot, and we're seeing that these materials are now equivalent to composite wood materials. They are coming as a replacement. They can now be used as an alternative to primary construction, replacing wood in many places. And also the appearances can be tweaked out. Of course, awareness and IEC are very, very important. So as we initiate the activities in various cities, it is also important to create awareness campaigns. So door-to-door awareness campaigns of the ULB or the municipality officials visiting our center, conducting health camps in several places to make sure that people are aware about the benefits of this, and also make sure that the waste pickers are able to keep tab of their health and what they are, especially during the time of COVID. It has been a challenge that a lot of COVID-related infected materials started coming inside. So it was important for us to frequently monitor the centers and also have a very, very safe work environment for people who deal with the waste that we put from household. So apart from that, there are financial literacy training, formation of self-help groups among waste picker groups, and also creating awareness campaigns in schools and other institutions for young children and others. So these are some of the campaigns. So one campaign that was thank you Safai Sathi. It means to thank the waste workers who are involved in waste. The one on the left top is on Bombay. The one on left middle is Vijayawada. The one on right is on Bhubaneswar. The one in bottom is Ghaziabad. The one on right top is an interactive game that happened in IIT Roorkee. The one below that, right on the green, is Chennai. Below that is Bangalore. Right to that is Hyderabad. So it is overall, we've been able to conduct similar campaigns in various cities and states. As on date, we are present in 22 states in 35 cities, implementing this with various government, urban local bodies, municipal corporations, and other activities. So as part of that, we've been able to initiate these IEC and awareness campaigns to citizens, to students, as well as to informal waste workers. This is a campaign that is basically for school awareness to kids. It is called a plastic gullak, where kids from their home will bring waste packets and they will bring in. So whoever brings the maximum packet gets a prize in return. And by this, they are able to also see that waste has value and imbibe the concept of material exchange, that when you bring waste, you can exchange it with something. So you will know that waste actually has value. So we used to do that similar earlier with Maggie packets when we were in school and college. It was there that bringing the Maggie packets and exchanging them for stickers and everything else was a very prevalent material exchange or a waste exchange activity. And that is also something that we want to inculcate in the school. So this one, the one here is in Bhubaneswar. The one on right top is from Goa and also on Bhubaneswar. Hello.
Yes, Krishna, continue.
Yeah. Okay.
Audible.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. So then similarly, there are other campaigns related to government. Here we are talking about how to create sensitivity and sensitization in government. On the left top, if you see, this is Pimpri Chinchwad Municipal Corporation in near Pune, where we have officials from the government as well as private sector engaging in that. On the right top, we have some of the sanitation workers of the municipal staff participating in awareness campaigns in the market area of Ghaziabad. On the right bottom, if you see, this is a round table which we organized with the director of Swachh Bharat Mission of the Ministry of Government of India. So there also we had waste pickers directly interact with the government and to talk about the sanitation, talk about Swachh Bharat Mission, talk about various schemes and effectiveness of implementation with that. So that's also a very, very effective program that we carried out, and we also called it the round table of waste pickers CSOs with the director of the Swachh Bharat Mission. Further to that, there are other various activities like children education, focusing on children education, focusing on social protection activities for women Safai Sathis, providing them with health insurance, providing them with scholarship for their kids, savings account, loans, and other very many success stories that can come as part of that. And the one on the left is one of the facilities or centers that we have for in Goa, where we did. So this is pre-COVID period. That's why no one is wearing mask, but definitely it was a very, very continuous activity that's been going on. So these are the ones during the COVID period where there were various exchange campaigns that happened. First one on the left top is the health camp that was for Safai Sathis in Bhubaneswar. On the right, if you see, is the mayor and the commissioner of the city of Varanasi felicitating our waste workers who have been working in this space during the time of COVID, and they're recognizing the contribution made by the informal workers in this space. On the left middle is the commissioner of the city of Patna, launching a campaign called Plastic Lao Mask Pao, where people can bring in plastic and take back mask, or they can take back cloth bags that will be used. On the left is again, if you see, one of the Safai Sathis waste workers felicitated by the mayor of Dehradun. So like that, it is the though the cities are different, the activities are the same and the recognition are the same, and the importance of the activities are very much the same. That's something that we wanted to highlight. Similarly, there are a few more campaigns on our awareness creation. This one is on Hyderabad in the left, Varanasi on the right. wealth out of waste in between, that is from the city of Goa. The one on left bottom is from the city of Vadodara, where health and fire safety training were provided to waste pickers and Safai Sathis. On the right below is Safai Sathi, who was a street waste picker, who got onboarded on the project, and then she was actually provided with an ID card, and now she has an insurance, and she feels that she's better protected, and she has a more predictable income. Then few more campaigns across the board in partnership with the ministry, in partnership with Coca-Cola, in partnership with other various public and private sector. So there we have these activities of Plastic Lao Tela Pau with the government of Delhi. And similarly, we have for other activities across the board. So overall, the current activities that we have been doing is we've been able to mobilize, collect and recycle more than 65,234 metric tons of plastic waste. We are present in 33 cities with 45 implementation partners in more than 24 states. We partner with more than 25 municipal corporations, 102 self-help groups of waste pickers have been formed. And we've been also integrating 4,184 Safai Sathis into dignified life. So some of the learnings and next steps are definitely there are ground level challenges. There have been action plans. We have worked with the government on policy related to extended producer responsibility, respected to CSR, respected to plastic waste recycling, whether it is to standardization of the materials and reverse linkages, advising companies on what kind of recyclable packaging can be used. Similarly, what kind of material compositions are possible, how we can have more registered recyclers and how have more using more recycled products in various ecosystem. And secondly, how we can have COVID-induced plastic waste, how to treat those COVID waste, and what did we do with that, and what are the other solutions that are available, as well as what are the different organizations who are available in this space, what are the tasks that they are doing, and how each of them can get benefited from this. So these are some statistics like how much material can be sent to recyclers, can be sent to unregistered recyclers, cement plants, and how many are the other players that are there. So recyclers are there, but for some materials, recyclers are not available. Hence, we need to identify alternate materials for things to move on. So this is some of the classification of the materials of different types. So if you see mixed plastic is what is there mostly. Then there are PET and HDP and LDP are the different waste compositions that we have. So overall wanted to give all of you a very brief presentation on the work that we have done and what are the things that are important in this space in terms of a circular economy. It is to create that overall ecosystem end to end, right from collection of these materials to establishing the recycling facility, and in that creating a sustainable business model. And after that, once that business model is there, you are able to provide the local employments. And after that, you also create dignified livelihoods and also create a circular economy where whatever waste is created now that has value. And from that value, we are able to again put it back with an alternative product that can be used in the market. So this is broadly what I wanted to touch upon. And then I wanted to take the session forward depending on the queries that come from which area that needs specific focus on. So I will take a small break here and open it for people to see if any queries so far, so that we can focus on for the next 30-40 minutes.
Now the session is open for discussion. We request the participants to unmute themselves and put forth their queries. Since this is an interactive session, so we kindly request the participants to unmute themselves and put forth their queries, please.
Okay, there is a question from Atal TNAU 110. They're asking how to be part of this program. So, I mean, we can, depending on what partnership is there, there are different partnership, government partnership through city corporations. There are partnerships from institutions, there are research partnerships, there are solution partnership, there are partnership as a collection agency, partnership as a recycler, partnership as a reuser of some of those materials. So different opportunities and options are available depending on what is the kind of partnership that you intend to. We definitely can work out something that is suitable for everyone. So that is the query answer for that question. Thank you. Any other query from anyone? You want me to focus on any particular area which was not clear? Somebody is asking about startups going on in this area. Yes, there are a lot of startups going on in this area in different space. Mostly on the recycling side, how plastic can be used in more recycled products, and how recycled plastics can be used in our mainstreaming activities. Recently, if you see, last month, Colgate came up with a toothpaste made in recycled plastic tube. So that was in partnership with a company called Banyan Nation in Hyderabad. So they are a company who are a startup working on such technologies and providing to big corporates and companies which are now trying to move to this ecosystem. Similarly, there are startups related to technology and app-based tracking of these materials and how that can be possible. So that's also something that is very much prevalent. Third, there are other startups involved in the partnership, in the awareness that needs to be provided for various companies in this initiative. So that those is also something that are there. So many startups are there. There are, I can also share some link on what are the startups available in this space. Then there is a question on organic decomposer. If we will mix with inorganic substances, is there a problem? Yes, absolutely, it's a problem, because the organic, when it mixed with inorganic, the composting will not be effective. So before feeding into the organic decomposer, you have to remove any inorganic materials as much as possible, so that the organic decomposer, when you put, at least it is 95 to 98% contains only organic waste. And that way we will be able to make sure that inorganics are taken out separately and they are processed, not as much as the other one. So a next question from Sivan.
No, Krishna, we couldn't hear you.
Some of these.
Krishna, sorry, we couldn't hear you. Can you repeat the answer?
Yeah, sorry, sir.
Now I can. Now it's clear.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I was talking about skill, the skill response. So for skill, we have the Sector Skill Council for Green Jobs develop something called as the qualification packs. Depending on the category, it is for waste collector, facility operator, material recovery facility operator, machine operator, recycler. So there are 7 to 8 skills that are provided by the Sector Skill Council in line with the Government of India guidelines for National Skill Mission. So as a part of that, these skill sets are available. We provide periodic trainings on this wherever that mass of people are available. So we can work on that. I will definitely share links on what are the skill developments that are available in this area. So last is cleaning and collection of waste, plastic waste, cost effective? Yes, I mean it's a broad question. It is very much cost effective depending on the material that you collect. When you collect plastic waste, there are different materials in that. There are high value materials, there are medium value, there are no value, and there are low value. So out of that, when you collect when you collect the materials, if you collect PET today has the highest value of recycling. So there are other materials which are low value. So like that, if you collect a mix of those materials, definitely it's a very, very profitable business. And we have seen it, we see it operation and sustainable and commercially viable in many of the centers that we operate. Next question is about, can we have some process to decompose waste plastic? So, I mean, there have been different discussions. It is a challenge because we all know that all materials get decomposed, but waste plastic does not get decomposed. I heard a story last week where one of a very senior officer in the government of India, he said that if all the activity stops on Earth today, which means that we all, if we all become extinct today, it will take within 150 years or something where everything will get back to normal. I mean, all pollution will go away, all water will become pure. Everything will get into its own original pristine state of how Earth would have been before let's say humans came in. But there will be one material which is called plastic, which will not get decomposed for at least 400 to 450 years. So that means that plastic as a material, there is an intrinsic issue of it being decomposing. So, I mean, there are different tools and somebody is saying through algae it can decompose, but I don't know. As of now, market related activities, or we have not seen anything that really is cost effective and it is commercially viable for us to adopt. So next question from Tanuja is, which process is effective for segregation of plastic? There are different methods. There are manual sorting methods that are there through manual segregation conveyor belts. There are also automatic, now new robotics and other materials are coming for automatic segregation. Those materials are also available. But we feel that currently segregation through manual conveyor belts and semi-automated conveyor belts are something that is working out to sort basically different types of plastic. And then we are able to take it from that point forward for different ends for recycling. How to control microplastics in wastewater? Microplastics in wastewater is a very critical issue. It is something that needs to be also captured by different water purification agencies and companies who are trying to give us purified water. In that, through the various filters, there have been various discussion, nano level filters where microplastics need to be captured at city level and at municipal level, but at the ocean level, at the river and at the water body level, these are certain things that activities need to be geared up at a global level in terms of plastics, cleaning the plastics or filtering them at the, let's say, wastewater level. I mean, these are actively now considered going forward, as well as, I mean, at the government level, and there are also a few agencies who are working in that, specifically focus on microplastics in wastewater. There is one question from Preeti. Has COVID further increased the plastic waste problem due to disposal syringes and sanitary? Of course it has. Of course it has increased the plastic waste multifold due to COVID, because not just with the disposable syringes and sanitary bottles, Preeti, there are even the packaging food. Now everybody wants to package the food. And everything, if you fly, if you take up a flight or you take a train, everything is packaged, including your spoon is packaged under a plastic cover, and then your mask is packaged under a plastic cover. Your sanitizer itself is in plastic, but that's again wrapped under another plastic cover. And it has the COVID has really increased the plastic multifold. COVID might get cured, but the plastic impact that was created due to COVID will stay for a long time, and we need to deal with that. And that's also something that we've been working on. Apart from the initial infection-related issue due to COVID, after that, once we are able to sanitize that, Now you need to deal with that plastic, including the mask, including the disposable masks that we put are sometimes very important. And we are dealing with it, we're dealing with this in most of the cities today. Then we are talking about all cosmetics and shaving creams contain microplastics. No, not really. Not all the cosmetics and shaving cream contain microplastic. It is coming. Not much of data is available on microplastic right now. We are more worried about the bigger plastics that are visible to us today, which we are still trying to find it difficult to deal with. So, so I'm not very sure about microplastics in shaving creams and others. Data and statistics are being made, and I mean, we need to all research online, because in various forums that we are part of, microplastic is still more of a discussion, and how solutions are emerging based on the facts that are available are being put up from time to time. That was for you, Ammasi. Then we have a question from Balanaga. Balanaga Karthik is asking whether all the industries follow plastic waste management rules. So they have to follow. If you are an industry that generate plastic waste, it is important for you to follow the plastic waste management rules. Plastic waste management rules came in 2016. It was amended in 2018, and then there was another amendment in 2020. And then finally, there are more updated guidelines in 2021. So whether if you are a producer, you are a brand owner, you are a plastic processor, or you are a recycler, you are mandated by the government and the Central Pollution Control Board and the State Pollution Control Board to follow the plastic waste management guidelines. And you need to definitely follow that. And at a certain size or volume, you need to be do that. Is it possible to get the PPT of this lecture? Yes, of course. I can share it right after this. Pooja Tomar is asking, to eliminate plastic pollution, government should take strong action in completely not using plastic. This is the only remedy. That is correct. So there is the new Government of India guidelines has come on the elimination of single-use plastic. The Prime Minister has been very, very vocal and very, very aggressive on this front. And so are the departments and the government departments at the central and state level leading to this. Due to COVID, this took a little bit of a back foot, because single-use plastics was widely used, whether it is your Swiggy, Zomato packaging, or whether it is buying any product. Plastic was widely used, and now that we are in a better position in COVID, the focus is back on elimination of single-use plastic. And as a part of that, really, we have taken, and from 2022, there are very, very stringent methods. Some timeline is provided for industries to adopt. But from 2022, elimination of single-use plastic and plastic carry bags, the minimum thickness of that, all that has been very strongly put forth, and they will be implemented. So we will see a very orbit shift in terms of elimination of plastic of single use going forward, but we are still left with the mountains and mountains of plastic waste that has been generated over the 3 to 4 decades, which we still need to deal with, which we still need to tackle and find a solution for. So that is all something that we all need to work towards. It is very difficult to do through nano. Ammasi is saying that it is a costly process. That is correct. But we need to do some work on that. I can specifically dig out some details on nanofilters and microplastics and how effective are they, and how are we focusing on that. Can we get recording of the links of the lectures if we want to listen afterwards? Yes.
Yeah, Krishna, I will answer for that.
Yes.
So we'll be all providing those links in the YouTube channel we have sorted, and probably the day after next we will provide all the links to the participants.
Yeah. Thank you. There is one question from Palanaga Karthik. In 2050, it is expected to be plastics to be more than the fish population in the ocean. Absolutely right. It is true, and it is already happening. We are actually seeing the trend already in Kerala and in Goa, in other places where we work, where when fishermen come back after fishing, like earlier they used to sell the fish, now they are also trying to sell plastics, because that's also coming as part of the fishing net. And we are trying to take that and integrate that plastic into various products as ocean plastics and other thing. We are working with the government of Kerala to have that. And in that, we have seen a lot of progress related to that. So basically, this is something that is there. It is very true. It may not be 2050, it can be earlier than that. The UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, has recently come up last week on a report on the alarming facts related to plastic. You can read that. But Balanaga, this is a fact. It is going to happen much faster. We are already seeing the trend where we buy plastic waste from fishermen who come back from fishing. Mercy, more energy is needed. Of course, it's needed. So then there is a question from RC Banu. Is there any source or support available to involve students in this kind of small projects? See, yes, students definitely involved on research, on identifying alternate solutions. This sector is just beginning. When I used to study in college, this was waste management was an issue that was beginning to be talked about. And now 10 years after that, it's such a major activity and a government policy today. Similarly, plastic waste and plastic waste recycling and circular economy, it is a topic that is just being started to discuss among boardrooms, among government officers, among ministers, and among political campaigns, and among various discussions. So this is very, very important to tag on, and there are a lot of opportunities for students and to make career in this space, and this is the right time to get involved. And but you need to do a lot of research online, what kind of organization, what kind of technology, what kind of support, what kind of projects you want to get involved. So definitely there are available ample options. If you want something more specific, I can support you with my team available, and whatever information I know, I'll be happy to share. So thank you. Then there is a query from Rajni. Rajni is saying, suggested some measures for plastic waste management. Can you suggest measures that can be taken at grassroots level by communities in a cost-effective way? Basically, collecting the materials at a decentralized manner, like for example, community campaigns are, whether it is at the collection side or it's the segregation side or at the recycling side. So you are able to, at a community, you are able to collect plastic waste separately, and then you are able to hand it over to, let's say, a recycler or something. You will be able to get any recycled product, and you are able to use the recycled product back in your community. So like I showed you in the products, there are different products that today we are trying to use. There are products people are making tiles, people are making pavement blocks, people are making tree guards, people are making roofs. So there are multiple alternatives that are available to be used. So you collect plastic waste, identify let's say a recycler who was able to make that into different product. You buy the recycled product and start using in that community, provide feedback, and that can really go a long way, and that will be truly a circular economy. So that's all the queries that are come. So I think if there is more time, then we can ask more queries. But there's one more coming from: mixing of bio-waste and plastic should be avoided to reduce the cost. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. It cannot be completely mixed. I mean, completely eliminated, because all food packets today come in plastic. Whether you buy, whenever you buy from Swiggy or Zomato, sometimes even tea comes packed in plastic. But definitely your dal, sambar, and everything else come packed in plastic waste, and we are not used to cleaning them to remove the bio waste out of plastic. Even at a household level, every day when we put garbage to the garbage guy who collects from our house, we are very conveniently putting all the waste mixed in one plastic bag. We just wrap it up and just throw it to him. So this is a habitual issue where we mixing of plastic and other materials is very convenient for us. So it is, if we have to break the convenience, it needs a very strong willpower. So while it is easy to say that it should not be mixed, but it has a lot of behavioral change, lot of process related things, a lot of incentives, a lot of penalties and penalization, and a lot of other things. Behavioral change initiatives should be made to make sure that we don't mix bio waste with any of the plastics that are there. So thank you, Rajini, and thank you, Amasi. Sir, back to you, sir. If there's anything more that you want me to specifically cover, sir. Balaji.
Krishna?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for very much great interactive session we had. I have questions, and maybe some more questions may come from the.
Yeah.
I think there was one more question. You can answer that, then I will put up my question.
Yeah, sure, sir. There is a question from V. Uma, who's asking bioplastic market in India. So, bioplastic market in India is, you're talking about degradable plastic, right? That people are talking. Yes, it is becoming common. Lot of companies, lot of shops. I have seen many of the supermarkets and many stores have started to adopt that. It is, even though personally I have not scientifically seen one of these biodegradable plastic and actually see it biodegrade anywhere. I mean, we have carried out exercises, experiments in terms of how long does it take to degrade a bioplastic. I mean, if it degrades, it has to either become a compost, like how organic waste should be. But we have not been able to assess that how long does it take for that bioplastic to actually become a compost. The last experiment we did was around 6 months ago, where it took almost 7-8 months for that to come. While if you can say that plastic will biodegrade, at what time it will degrade, at what conditions it will biodegrade, and how do you identify? The other issue that we have faced also is that in our segregation centers, when our Safai Sathis and our waste workers are sorting materials, they are not able to identify a plastic, whether it's a biodegradable plastic or a non-biodegradable plastic. So they don't know whether it will go into a dry waste or a wet waste. So whether it should go into a, organic or inorganic. So at that aspect, when there is an intersection between plastic and organic, so there have been challenges there. We've been able to take that separately, but even at a sourcing side, at the segregation level, there has been challenges throughout, and we continue to face those challenges, but we are working on that. The market is evolving now that single-use plastics will be banned or will be reduced to a large extent. These markets on bioplastic will evolve, and they will become more prevalent in the coming years. There is 141. Komala is asking a question. What is the scope of products processed from non-recyclable plastic? So non-recyclable plastics are today widely used in co-processing and cement incineration, where they are basically burnt. But when you talk about products, we are using those products in different applications. Like even non-recyclable products are used in road making. Like if you've heard of, there is a professor from Madurai who has done this, and who has a patent on this, and who has also got the Padma Vibhushan or Padma Shri for the technology that he has on the roads. So that we are able to use some of these non-recyclable plastic waste in the roads, where the for around 8%, and the life of the road has actually increased substantially, because now we have a plastic layer, and that also is there. So that way those are used. Apart from that, we are looking at insulation. We are looking at, because it is plastic, there are insulation, so they can be used in roofs, they can be used in walls, they can be used in partitions, they can be used in affordable housing. we are looking at with increase in costs, it can compete with wood. And once these materials also degrade, they can again be broken down and they can be recycled multiple times so as to do that as well. So we are doing that, but there is a lot of scope for non-recyclable plastics. Even for recycled plastics, like now there are there are shoes that are coming from non-recyclable plastics and ocean plastics. There are shoes that Adidas launched. There is another shoes called Neiman shoes that is becoming popular in India. So there are other newer products that are coming from recycled plastics. So thank you. And after that, thank you. Okay, yes, sir. Back to you, Balaji.
Yeah, Krishna, I have got a question to you.
Yes.
Just I want to know how far India is as a whole, or maybe state-wise. What is the maybe if you have any figures or facts stating how the waste segregation is done, at how percentage-wise, or maybe at what level do we have achieved, or it's a long way to go for us when compared with other countries through the world?
Okay. So that's because official figures will say something, the ministry figures will say something. I will say based on what I know. So I mean, if you look at segregation, definitely we were at let's say 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago. Let's say at the beginning of, I mean, a lot of change has happened since the advent of Swachh Bharat Mission. So the first Swachh Bharat Mission started in 2014. And now we are in Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0. So we are almost 7 years into Swachh Bharat Mission. So if you look at the first half of that, which is around 2017-18, the segregation levels were around 25 to 25%. Now we are somewhere at, if you take nationally, we are somewhere at 40 to 45%. 45% is something that is there, but going forward, it will even be improved even further as most of the cities across are starting with the material recovery facilities. That's what I was thinking that is important to focus on the infrastructure. Even today, that segregation can happen. I mean, many of us have experienced, people who are passionate environmentalists here will know that even if you segregate, the guy who comes and picks your waste will mix it in front of you, and he will take it in one common vehicle where he will dump everything together. It might be very let's say it might be very agitating. So like that, now municipalities and city governments have started to build these recovery facilities where whatever segregation happens, that is transported in a segregated manner, that is treated in a segregated manner, and from the time that it's segregated in your house till the time that it is recycled, it continues to remain not mixed with any other waste or not contaminated, but keeps that purity of the quality of segregation that you do at home. So though a lot of things are happening, we still have a long way to go. It will take another 5 to 6 years for all the cities to come up with the facilities and for us to have collection infrastructure, which is also more segregation oriented. And by end of the decade, we will be in much better position in terms of waste management.
Okay. One another question for maybe from the university or college side, I would like to know any graduate who is willing to get a job in this particular industry. So what sort of skill sets or learning they should possess?
Sir, it is, this is definitely, the sector is now moving more towards, I mean, what to say, standard policies are coming out. So now already suddenly there is a lot of, even consultants have now started getting in the designing of recycling facilities. There are three overall approaches or openings or areas in which will become big potential for jobs and employment. First, of course, is on the aspect of policy, how different policies can be made and how locally some of the national policies that can be made can actually be regionalized and how they can be implemented within the city, within the state. Second is, of course, in infrastructure creation. There is huge infrastructure that needs to be created, like how during the telecom time, lot of telecom towers and where the infrastructure creation that were happening in the telecom boom. Similarly, in the broadband boom, similarly in the software boom, where there were software companies everywhere. We are seeing centrally that lot of these startups on waste managements are coming up, especially since the EPR, there is something called EPR, which I didn't go very much in detail, nor did people ask question. It is called EPR of Extended Producer Responsibility, where companies like Coca-Cola, Unilever, and all product companies are mandated to collect back the plastic, which means that they need to now spend money and collect back. That's where now a lot of new funds and investments are coming in. So creation of infrastructure. So if you are aware of a waste management processing facility, if you are aware of how to do a material recovery facility, a segregation facility, a sorting facility, or you are able to either design or operate, you definitely have a opportunity for a job. And lastly, on utilization of the recycled plastic. So there are already recycled plastics can be made, but now what are the alternative applications to recycled plastics? Can they be used in automobile industry? Can they be used in FMCG industry? Can they be used in hardware, software industry? Can they be used in construction industry? So now recycled plastics will now start finding its way into different industries. So if you are able to pick up a unique product or a couple of products that you are able to identify a use for these recycled products in industry that you know very well, or do you think there is a lot of potential, then there are a lot of scope on innovation and research and policy and implementation across the board. And of course, lastly, there are softwares that are coming up where traceability software, dependability software, tracking software and 3D models and artificial intelligence cameras that can tell whether how much of a contamination is there in a particular waste material when you scan it. So there are multiple newer technologies that are coming up in various sectors. And this is a very good time because now there is a right amount of funding, interest, policy, and globally also there's a lot of interest in this. So that's a long answer to that question, sir.
Yeah, Krishna, thank you. One last question from my side.
Yes, sir.
Is there any good web application or mobile application which says the something like where we have nearest collection sector, or maybe some information on waste management, or
Yes.
specifically on plastic waste management?
We need to check that, sir. These softwares are more, regional. Like there are some in Delhi, some in Hyderabad, some in Bangalore. So like that, it is more regional. So we'll have to check locally within the side of our campus, within our area, what kind of software tools are available and how people are able to do that. There are company called Recycle. There's one guy called Kabadiwala Connect in Chennai. There are other people who have tried different tools in different places, but these are very local tools, and we need to check locally what's available in the region. But definitely Recycle, RECYKAL, Recycle is a tool that's available for different people to find out. But not much innovation or intervention has actually happened on a pan-India basis in this space as yet.
Okay, thank you, Krishna. It was very much informative and interactive. And do you want to? We have some more time, some 10-15 minutes still there. If you want to share anything other than what you have.
Yeah, I can. I will try to play one of the video. If it plays in my system, I will try and share that so people will know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Please tell me if you can hear it.
India, the world's biggest democracy.
Yes, yes.
You can
Yes,
hear?
Krishna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of the project that we are implementing in Mumbai. So this is the video of that.
India, the world's biggest democracy, is facing an increase in waste generation due to its massive economic growth, urbanization, and growing consumption. And nothing represents this scenario more vividly than India's financial capital, Mumbai. Home to numerous restaurants, factories, offices, industries, and 21 million people, Mumbai generates a massive 7,500 tons of solid waste per day, and this number is on a rise. What this means is there's a need to strengthen the existing waste management systems, and quickly. To deal with this issue, UNDP India, in partnership with the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai and Hindustan Unilever, took a small step towards sustainable, decentralized waste management, Swachhata Kendra. It is a one-of-a-kind example of a circular economy in Mumbai. It links collection, segregation, and processing of waste with citizens, municipal corporation, waste pickers, and recyclers as the partners. The Mumbai model starts with citizens segregating their waste right at the source: kitchen waste, dry waste, and domestic hazardous waste. The project team regularly educates and encourages residents to segregate waste properly. With activities like route mapping, conducting baselines, capacity building for waste pickers, or the Safai Sathis for on-ground waste collection, the model strengthens the MCGM's current waste collection mechanism. While the collected wet and domestic hazardous waste is disposed safely and responsibly, the dry waste is collected by the Safai Sathis of Asra Welfare Association and brought to the Swachhata Kendra. Here, Safai Sathis and several machines sort and process the plastic waste and other dry waste. It is then collected by the recyclers to produce recycled products. Not only does the model add value to the waste, this project has successfully improved the lives of over 500 Safai Sathis by increasing their income, connecting them to government social schemes, bank accounts, and availing health checkups. With over 33,000 households now connected to the project, it has been able to collect 2,500 tons of plastic waste in just a year. For the next 4 years, the mission is to divert 35,000 plus tons of plastic waste in Mumbai towards recycling and also improve the socio-economic conditions of 4,000 plus of Safai Sathis, not just in Mumbai, but across India. This is just the beginning. It is only through meaningful partnerships, continued efforts, and passion for the cause that we will be able to ensure that waste is put where it truly belongs. That is, in the circular economy where it can be reduced, reused, and recycled.
Thank you. Thank you. That's broadly what I had to share.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Krishna.
Yeah.
We'll wait for a few minutes. If there is no questions, we'll
Yes.
wind
Yes,
up the session.
Yeah.
So I have seen a lot of accolades for you. I think you can go through the chat.
Yeah, no, it is. No, I didn't want to keep it very boring and one-sided, so it is important.
Yeah, it's always better to be interactive.
Yes. Thank you. I have one more. I have one more on empowerment. If you want one last video, and then we can wrap up. So in the
Yeah.
meanwhile, if anybody has questions, you may please ask.
Okay. You can have one more video and we'll
Yeah, one more on collection aspect. I have, this is another one that I showed initially on Ahmedabad. This is related to.
Okay.
सुरक्षा स्वच्छता केंद्र की खास बात इसकी इंक्लूसिवनेस है। इस मॉडल में हम लोग अहमदाबाद कैंटोनमेंट बोर्ड के 3500 जो घर हैं वहाँ पे बहनें रोज़ सुबह जाती हैं और डोर टू डोर वेस्ट कलेक्ट करती हैं। इंक्लूसिवनेस की बात जब हम लोग करते हैं तो उसमें खास बात ये है कि इस मॉडल में 3500 घर में 300 घरों का एक यूनिट बनाया गया है जहाँ पे 2 बहनें साथ में जाती हैं और वो कलेक्शन का काम करती हैं। तो जो 60 रुपये हमें मिलते हैं हर घरों से, उससे उन दोनों बहनों की सैलरी बहुत आराम से निकल जाती है।
मैं कचरा ले जाती हूँ, गीला कचरा अलग लेती हूँ, सूखा कचरा अलग लेती हूँ। कचरा लेके इधर आती हूँ, इधर आके चाय पानी नाश्ता करके हम गीला कचरा में से सब पन्नी बन्नी सब निकालते हैं और सूखा कचरा हम सॉर्टिंग करते हैं।
तब उन्होंने हमको ट्रेनिंग दिया, ये कचरा सिखाया ऐसे अलग करने का, ऐसे ये इसमें जाएगा, ये इसमें जाएगा, सब उन्होंने सिखाया।
गीला कचरा हम लाते हैं और हम इसका खाद बनाते हैं।
हम अहमदाबाद कंटोनमेंट बोर्ड में एक सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट प्रैक्टिस लगाना चाहते थे जो इंक्लूसिव रहे और सस्टेनेबल रहे। इससे पहले हमने अमृतसर में ये कोशिश की थी, बट उसमें हम उसको फाइनेंशियली सस्टेनेबल नहीं बना पाए। इसीलिए हमने इस बार पर्यावरण मित्र एनजीओ, यूएनडीपी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड एससीसीबी की मदद से एक ऐसे मॉडल की प्रयास किया है जो फाइनेंशियली सस्टेनेबल है, रिप्लिकेबल है, डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड है और लाइवलीहुड जनरेशन के लिए मदद करता है। इस मॉडल के तहत हम सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट रूल्स 2016 का लेटर और स्पिरिट में फॉलो अप कर रहे हैं और हम चाहते हैं कि इस मॉडल को हम सभी कंटोनमेंट्स में लगाएं ताकि हम स्वच्छ भारत मिशन का ऑब्जेक्टिव अचीव कर सकें।
So it is a really good initiative where maximum number of sisters are involved to do integrated waste management, keeping an acute focus on segregation at source.
मेरा इधर आने से बाद बैंक का खाता भी खुल गया, पैन कार्ड भी आ गए, आधार कार्ड भी आ गए।
स्पेशल सैटरडे में खेल कूद करता है, गाड़ी भी सिखाते हैं। एससी हॉस्पिटल है वहाँ ले जाते हैं, बॉडी चेकअप के लिए सबको ले जाते हैं। सबका बहुत ख्याल रखते हैं लोग सब।
Thank you everyone. Thank you sir. That was
Thank you Krishna. I think there is no other questions. We can wind up, and I thank you very much for offering such a good session, which is more of interactive in nature.
Thank you sir. I learned a lot from you sir during the initial days to do that. So I think I'm just playing back some of it. Yes sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you colleagues. Thank you everyone. Have a very nice day. I will share the details with Balaji sir and the group, and you can reach out to me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. The feedback form for the second session is posted in the chat box and is also circulated in mail and WhatsApp. The participants are asked to fill the form before 3:30 p.m.